Hey guys, Dabu7. Some quick updates here in regards to this Hanover situation. What this does is it confirms what we've been saying. They've actually said that this hole could have been sitting there since the 5th. This is pretty crazy because we know without a shadow of a doubt, after listening to the guys on the ground saying that there was high radiation releases and that they were working to gather the numbers, and then flipping the story on its head and saying, oh no, everything's okay, we're going to fill it with dirt, without ever showing proof of the readings. The public should be demanding the readings. They should be demanding to be shown where these things are set up around the site to pick up the readings. And from this image, this is the perfect image to show that this thing was exposed to open air. You could see the walls, for crying out loud, inside the tunnel. We know that this is only a few feet thick, this berm of earth, so to speak, on top. And it was supposed to have a metal lining, which either eroded or wasn't put in. And they're saying that this was wood that rotted away and collapsed. Now, they tried to say initially that road crews or somebody working on a road, which there was nothing to be seen, no road being fixed. They said that potentially could have vibrated it. Well, what we know now is going back to the 5th. That's the day of the quakes. That is very interesting because when we reported on that, people were like, they just discovered it today. That was days ago. Well, now we're finding out that this could have happened on that exact same day, right around the exact same time those quakes hit in the region. And what's the difference? It's all shaking. Whether it's a work truck, an earthquake, or a quarry blast that we saw to the east right around the same time. Same distance as the quake, but in the opposite direction. There's plenty going on in this area on that day. And plenty that could have shook the ground and caused something weak to collapse. So, some say there could have been an explosion inside from the buildup of stuff that they're not reporting. Possibility, because they didn't report on the one in 2014 that exploded. They tried to say it was nothing, just a little pop, when guys were cutting into a pipe and the thing blew up. All of them saying it was louder than a shotgun going off, not just a little pop. So they've been caught covering up stuff before. Okay, look at Access Pipeline, Dakota Access Pipeline, where all the protests were over, South Dakota, for the Native Americans' water and to protect their water, all that. Guess what? They had a huge spill at that pipeline in April. Can you imagine if that cat would have been out of the bag while all the protesting was going down and while they were arguing that exact point that this stuff could spill and contaminate our stuff happened within 100 miles of the water source. So you don't think for a minute that these individuals don't black things out, censor things, keep things quiet. Because at the WIP facility in New Mexico, quite a few years back when the ceiling collapsed and crushed the containers on the inside, look it up. They did the same thing, but you know what they did then? They took down the RAD network. They took it offline. While this plume of radiation was going through, then they brought it back up and we caught traces of it. Then they admitted there was a release. Afterwards, after they took down the radiation network. These are the things you have to watch for out here. And I'm telling you now, this thing was exposed to open air. There was a radiation release. You all are being lied to. Now they're admitting that this thing could have happened all the way back on the 5th. And who knows, could have went further than that. That's just what they're admitting. This could have been here a whole lot longer. But we know for sure, back to the 5th, days and days and days, this thing sat like that. As the wind just kicked all that on downstream. They're not telling you because they do not want to induce a panic. Do you see? They do not want people pissed off. They do not want sued and all these other things. You have got to stand your ground when something like this happens. This is contamination. This is radiation, folks. Whole different ball game. Why do you think they emergency evacuated everyone out of this area that was working there and they told them no one to show back up to work? They knew something was going on, all while sirens are going off and everything else. For days, this sat there. That's game-changing to me, guys. This toxic tunnel They could fill it with dirt. I know everyone's laughing at that. Are you kidding me? Right. Saying it should be encased with at least concrete, rebar, and other things. It's filled it with dirt. Dirt didn't seem to do too good of a job. It collapsed in. It's just going to flatten out. At some point, all that's going to continue to fall and flatten out because it's just going to spread further and further. This is stupid. Straight up. These people, man, they need their asses busted on this one. Their feet held to the fire. I'm telling you, a lot of people, their jobs should be gone because of this event. Other people across the country, because the mainstream's really not talking about it, have no clue. How do you think the locals feel? Those downwind. I covered the wind patterns and everything else around here. Go to Windy. Go to Windy. We hit it right here. Windy.com. And you'll be able to pull up the air patterns. And see what's really going on. So, let's take a stroll up here and just take a peek. Here's the facility. This is where it's all going down. So now, the other day we had those airplanes going all the way down through here, running circles because the wind was circling back. Now, it's all pushing up this way. So if there's any contamination, I mean, right now, as they fill the hole, that's one thing, but Spokane, all this wind heading up that way. Okay? But saying it's filled now. My thing is, they're nothing but liars. People, you've got to pay attention when they do this. I will leave links and continue to update with more information as things change on this. Some of the latest, just know, this thing could have been there for days. It's been Dabu 7.